Usually in math we use a Saxon curriculum, and we're supposed to be faithful to that curriculum. But I've noticed that my students are not filling in the gaps. The way Saxon works is you have a mini lesson each day, and then it's a spiraling curriculum. And I appreciate the mini lessons, and it gives the key points, but it's not really connecting the goals for my students. They're not seeing how math is interlaced. So for example, we're learning about multiplication and division, and because it's a spiraling curriculum, we learn parts of multiplication, parts of division, but they can't really see how the spectrum of it. So my goal for this lesson was to kind of just take everything they know, place it out for them to say, okay, I've taught you an array independently, I taught you about groups independently, I've taught you about fact families independently, I've taught you about multiplication as repeated addition independently, but how are those all connected? But more importantly, how is math connected to everyday life and real world application? Because you want to take something abstract and make it concrete and usable in everyday lives, especially in 3rd grade. So with that was a long introduction, sorry. The book I'm using is called Each Orange Had 8 Slices, and this is a counting book. And yeah, so I'll go into that with the next question. I use this book because I try to show I try to connect literature and math all the time, so I really like that there's a read aloud. It's not really a read aloud, but it's still in the form of a book. And then I was thinking, okay, it's not going to be in my curriculum, the lesson I need. So I need to pull from my toolkit and figure out how can I supplement the needs of my students. And that's when I went to our math coach, and I said, hey, my students are struggling with multiplication and division and relating it to each other. Do you have any resources for me? And so then she gave me Common Core Math in Action, and then it's called Making the Standards Manageable, Meaningful, and Fun. So I didn't actually take a lesson from this, but there was like a lot of good little ideas, and then I just kind of made it into what I needed for my kids. So what I took from that was a worksheet that kind of does the 4 mini lessons that I taught, and then relates it to a real world concept from the book. And so those are the resources that I'm using for this mini lesson. I chose this material specifically, the book, because it's really engaging, and it's like, I think it was meant for elementary school students. If you look at the pictures, they're very bright. The words are minimal, in a sense that it outlines the importance of the numbers. And I specifically like this book because even though we're teaching multiplication, it has at least 3 factors in it. So the students have to pull the important numbers, and they actually really have to take the concept of, okay, which one is the group of though? What am I multiplying? Instead of just like 2 numbers, there's 3. So you can kind of see, will the students really understand and connect the dots? This was my first time seeing this book. What I really like about it is it kind of has authentic projects, or it shows you how to integrate math and arts into it, and then the extensions are authentic. So in this lesson, this isn't authentic because they're still taking the concepts and showing me that they can show a model of it, but the extension lesson after that will make it authentic, where they create their own number problem. And which I like that. It kind of scaffolds the lesson to make it from, do they understand the concept, but can they translate into higher order thinking? I like that book because it gives us resources to make math fun and more project-based, I think. And I like this book because it's bright, it's simple, and even though it looks simple, it's actually still kind of complex because there's still 3 factors in there, and the students have to pull out what are the important numbers. Again, I think that this book is great. I'm a big believer in differentiation, especially because I want to say like 30 to 40% of my kids are English language learners. So what I would have done is have a beginning, intermediate, and advanced level problems. That way I can scaffold them and help them be successful in the concept itself first. Math is hard to translate, and when will I ever use this? When will I learn multiplication? Why am I learning multiplication? And when will I use it in real life? So I I think this is a really important book to show the kids because they're just everyday objects and everyday things. And I think it'll help them really strengthen the connection between multiplication and the process we would use in real life.